Hello everyone, my name is Ilona. My channel is called Ware Kracht, which is Dutch and it means true power. And I've chosen that name because that's what I really like to give to others. I really want to help them find their own true power so they're not reliant on anything outside of themselves. Everything is inside. Your true power is inside of you. And that's why I've picked the name. And I'd like to start with the first card of the major arcana. I will just shortly explain how I look at the card. The most important thing is that if you want to work with cards, if you want to you know, read cards for yourself or read cards for other people, it's very important that you find your own way in that you trust your own intuition. So there are many meanings from all the cards, and you can find a lot of things on the internet with very thorough interpretations of each card. And I just want to give us just explain how I see the card and how I would use a card in a reading, just to help you along. So I'd like to start with the first card. It's called the Fool, and as you can see, there's a young man. Looks like he's about to fall into the ravine, but well, he doesn't really care, and I don't think it's going to happen anyway. And he's got a white dog with him. There's a lot of yellow, and there's a sun. Also, it starts with the number 0, which stands in numerology for it's like the egg. It's got the potential in it. It's got everything in it. That's what the 0 stands for. So if you just look at the card. Uh, Mostly suggest just write down a few words that when you look at the card, what is the first thing that pops in your head? And to me, well, it stands for the Fool. The Fool is a person that just goes, their own way. They don't care about everybody else. They just follow their dreams. They're not very practical in a way. Just, I'm just going for it. So there's a sense of adventure. There's a sense of wonder that children have, that wonder in the world, like, oh my, what's possible. And that's where this card stands for. So if I see it in a reading, when I'm reading cards for someone, and I do have certain method where I use my intuition. So I look to a card. I don't use reversals. So usually when I see a card, I can kind of sense if it's an open way. So if I feel inside of me like, oh, this is a positive feeling, or I can sometimes see like, oh, that card it's not that positive. I can just feel it in my stomach a little bit. It's like churning in my stomach, and then it means that that card has a more not negative, but a more an other meaning. So if I feel like, oh, this is a positive card, that means that that person will, can be very happily just take their steps, don't think too much about things, and just be open for all kinds of possibilities. It will be if they get this energy for the next period, it will be a good period for them where there's a little bit of sense of carelessness and just enjoying what's happening and not think too much. But if it's more of a negative feeling towards, I'll be like, you have to be a little bit careful. You shouldn't be so naive. Don't fall for things, be a bit practical. So it completely depends on how I feel a card. That's how I do it. And in if I it's like a relationship. You can read cards for a certain relationship. If it happens on the other, if it's for someone else, another person, then it could mean that this person is very young in their way of thinking, very adventurous, very open. But if I feel a little like with that card, it could also mean that that person doesn't want to take any responsibility and is a bit immature. So it all depends how you feel things. And that's very important to find your own method for that. But this is how I look at the Fool. And the second card I have is called the Magician, and that's the second card. It's card number 1. It stands the 1 in the numerology stands for pioneering, for um, well, it had more of a male quality to it. It's the things of just getting things started, action, and that's what the Magician is about. You can see here the well, the way it holds it, it's for the called well, I think it's called as above as below. It's more of an occult idea that everything is like a mirror. So everything that happens inside happens outside. Everything is like mirroring itself. And well, you have all the elements. You have the sword, which is the element of air, the cups, which stands for the element water, pentacles, which stands for the element earth, and then you have the wands, which stands for the element of fire. So just look at the card. He has everything in front of him, and that's actually what the card stands for. The card stands for being able to to manifest what you want, manifest a relationship, manifest a new job, manifest opportunities. It's all possible. And it's a very conscious way. He wears like a red robe, and red stands for, well, in a way, a very conscious decision to make. So the fool is still like, well, see what happens. The magician is more taking control, like, I want it that way. That's the way it's going to be. So magician is a more controlled way, and if it's in a positive way, well, that means that person can just go ahead and plan, and if they want to manifest something, they should go for it, plan it, and just, they have everything to be successful, which is very important. And if I'm feeling like, it could also mean that the person wants to force things and has to be careful not to force anything or force anyone into something. They can be quite dominant. Also, if it's in like I read cards for a relationship, and this card falls, in one of the persons involved in a relationship. In one hand, it can mean someone who is very charming, very talkative, very intelligent. He's got everything under control, or she's got everything under control. But it could also mean, if it's a bit more negative, like I said, if I sense a little bit like, with that card, it could also mean that that person is dominant and a bit too much talk, and not much coming out. So there's a lot of um, pretending around that person. I'd like to come across as very intelligent and very successful, when in reality they're not. So they're very good at hiding in a way. So you can go a lot of ways with these cards. But it's good to know, and it's like I said, it's important to follow your own intuition. And then the third card, which will be the last one for this video, is the High Priestess, and it's number two. Two stands in numerology is more of a female number. It's about intuition. It's about receiving, being open. And as you can see, well, I think it's a very beautiful card. She's between two pillars, black and white, duality. She has the Torah, which means like a sacred script. She has on her lap, and pretty much the moon, of course. Here it's the moon, and in her what she has on her head. It's this card, High Priestess. Just what do you imagine with High Priestess? Well, someone who's very intuitive. Has to do with intuition. It has to do with the unconsciousness, or just the unconscious dreams, receiving, being patient. Patience. This is not a card of action. So if someone, I reading the cards for someone, and this is in their card reading, like I said, if it feels positive in a way, then I would like, well, you can use your intuition. You can trust what your instincts tell you, and there may be a little bit of a secret, but you will be able to just see everything clearly, and really trust your own judgment. And if there's a sense of, I'm like, no, it's a bit more negative, or a bit more doesn't feel right, then it could mean that there are some secrets that the person I'm reading the cards for doesn't know about. Could be that they're too much too dreamy. They're not very practical in a way. They're just maybe not taking action when they should. So that's also a possibility. It's more of another way of reading it. And of course, in a relationship, if it's for a relationship, it could mean that this person is, well, if it's in a positive way, this person is very wise. A person has a lot of experience, is very intuitive, very sensitive. They sense a lot of things. They know a lot of things before you have to tell them. Very understanding. But if it's in a more negative way, this person could be very secretive, not revealing everything. They're maybe not trustworthy in that way. So it just all depends how you look at things. And like I said, it's the best way to learn how to read the cards is start with yourself. Try to pick a card every day. Write down in the morning what pops up in your head, and then at night try to see what happened that day and see if it fits with the card. And just that's the best way of learning to read the cards. The most important is to, well, to actually listen to the High Priestess and trust your own intuition. Well, I'll hope to see you in my next video. Bye.